Thoughts on season overall?
I think we underachieved. I think we could have done a lot better. Just we had some ups and downs this year, and we weren't a consistent team. And I think we had a lot of young guys, so I think that's the big part of it. It's hard to be consistent with new players coming to the pro ranks, but overall, I think we had a great team as a group of guys and coaching staff. We all gelled really well, and I think that's the biggest thing to take out of this year.
What about the season did you feel you underachieved? Was it more like obviously the road record wasn't all that great, or was there particular portions of the season that you feel like you guys underachieved?
It just every you go into the year thinking let's make playoffs every year, and if you don't make playoffs, it's always a tough pill to swallow. And I think obviously our road record wasn't good enough, and maybe that's just because it's the first time guys are traveling far distances or what have you, and it was a struggle for us on the road. And next year I think it's going to be a big pickup year, and we got to make sure that we make it into playoffs.
I mean, overall though, you guys end up as a 500 club, and you played in a very tough division where a lot of these teams, every team in fact except for San Antonio, and they came very close to being 500, were above 500. Does that maybe speak to maybe a little bit more about how difficult the division was and really how good your team really is?
Yeah, I guess this probably my third year, and this is probably the toughest division I've been in. And we had a lot of good teams. Every team in the California area was tough to play against, and they had a lot of scorers, a lot of tough big guys that were hard to push around. It was a tough league, but teams came out of it on top, and that's what we wanted to be. And it's still, you want to be on top every time you come out of a division.
You did get to spend one game with Calgary, go up there and play that and have that experience. What did that mean to you at that point in the season?
Oh, it's a big thing for me. Like, I've been waiting for this for 3 years. I've been on a contract with Calgary for a while, and I never got the opportunity with my injuries last year. And then coming into this year, I had a lot of ups and downs in my game this year as well. So to give me that game, it meant everything to me, and I think that helps me in the future with this organization or anywhere else down the road.
I was gonna say, how much does that motivate you now that you've seen the NHL and you've gotten a taste of what it's like? Now, how much does that turn into motivation for you heading into the next season?
Oh, it's big motivation. I just was talking to my trainer. It's going to be a big summer for me. I need to make sure that I come in with a good size and work on my skills a lot more this summer. Each summer I try to get as much time as skill-wise as I can, and I need to come back ready to play and be ready to make the NHL list next year.
As a pending RFA, do you fully anticipate coming back next year?
No, you never know, right? You never know who they're going to qualify. There's only so many contracts that can go out. So it's obviously a tough time throughout the summer, but once it does happen, which I hope it does, I'm going to be proud and happy about it, and I'm going to be ready to come back.
Is this where you want to be in the Calgary organization?
Yeah, I definitely do. It's an organization that is a strong organization throughout AHL, NHL. They do great things for us down here. They help us out a lot, and it's a team that you would want to play for. It's a Canadian team. It's very close to home, and I want to make that NHL.
This was an ECHL town, and for a guy like yourself, who we've actually seen play against the Stockton Thunder here, to go from ECHL to NHL in a matter of over maybe one calendar year, does it maybe go back to kind of showing a little bit of how far your game is taken from the Alaska Aces to the Calgary Flames?
Yeah, definitely. I think my first year in this league, I struggled a lot, and it was a tough year for me, and I needed that time to go down. That's why I think the ECHL is such a good thing. You get a lot of opportunity. There's only 3 lines. You get a lot of ice. And I think that stepped up my game for next year. And I had a slow start last year, and I battled back and had a really solid year. And I thought I was going to get called up last year, but a lot of injuries took that away from me. So I came back this year with the same mindset, and I did pretty much the same thing I did last year, just got exactly the same points. And I think overall, every year you got to make sure that you're coming back and getting better. You can't stay even. You never want to peak.
And this is also a real hardworking town, and you're one of those guys I think that fans kind of drifted to because of the way you play the game. Do you take pride in the fact that when everyone asks, who the hardest working guy on the team is or who the best penalty killer is, your name consistently comes up, whether it be amongst the coaching staff, amongst the general managers, amongst your teammates?
Oh, I take great pride. If I can be a hard worker every night and people notice that, and I don't need to be on the score sheet, I'll take that any day. I like people noticing, people that are blue collared and go to work every night. And sometimes you don't get the points that you need, but as long as you're out there working hard and making the fans happy, that's all that counts.
How much pride do you take in being a leader of a fairly young group? You're a young player yourself, but you wore the AL season long. How much pride do you take in that fact?
Oh, it's big. Leadership role is it's a tough role, and especially in pro ranks, you got so many older guys, younger guys coming through that don't have letters, and to be a leader, you got to really make sure you take on that role. You got to be a vocal player. You got to make sure you work hard, like you said, and make sure that you communicate with the guys and communicate with the coaching staff with problems and things that you have. And I think I took it upon myself a lot to be a good leader this year, and I think I brought my leadership role exceeding last year for my A. So I think hopefully next year I can keep improving that. And
obviously being called up to Calgary is probably your favorite memory of the season, but what's been your fondest memory here in Stockton?
I think it was the very first game we had a 7-0 win or 7-1 win or something like that, and we all were talking like, oh, we're gonna make the Calder Cup playoffs, we're gonna make the Calder, just because it was such a crazy game. We looked like we were an NHL team out there, and just meeting the guys for the first time is always the best time to come down here and get to meet everybody, and that was the best time this year for sure.
At the end of the year, when things were kind of stumbling towards the end, I think one thing that Coach kind of pointed to was that there were some big injuries for you guys. Aaron Johnson, the captain, being one. Mason Raymond missed a lot of time at the end of the season. Did you feel overall that when you were trying to push for the playoffs that you maybe had a bit of a younger, less experienced group that made it a little bit more challenging on you guys?
Oh, definitely. I think if we had our full lineup together, and if we won a few games down the road, we can easily be in the playoffs and making that big push. But when you got a young group, it's so tough to be able to, push into that playoff when it's already that playoff atmosphere. They don't understand the pro ranks and how hard it is to actually make it to that playoff. So, yeah, it's tough, but we had such a good group of guys, a lot of character in this team that we kept on pushing. We were so close to finish off the year and almost make it. So, we got to give it to the guys for having a lot of character.
And since you were a leader on this team, was there any of the younger players that kind of impressed you, whether it be on or off the ice, and kind of learning from you, Blair, Garnett, Aaron, Colton, all the leaders on the team?
I think we're probably the best rookie group I've ever seen. They took it upon themselves to be very vocal, especially like Klimmer, Smitty, all these young guys coming up. They're all very vocal on the bench, and they're not afraid to be a leader. And that's when I was a young guy, I was still kind of afraid to be a leader, and they're taking it upon themselves to be older guys when they're already young guys, So we got a lot of good rookies on this team, and I think next year is going to be an even better year for this team.
And do you have any plans, non-hockey related, going into the off-season?
No, just take 2 weeks off and get right back into it. I got to get ready for next year, and everything you do in the summertime relates to how next season's going to go, so I need to make sure I buckle down this summer.